obviously you have to come out, with a statement. So, one of the things I looked at it long and hard, mostly last night, watched it twice, watched it again today, watched it, a little bit more, and then looking ahead. I have not met with either quarterback yet. I'm planning on meeting with them this afternoon. I feel comfortable going forward with a decision, and I just want to talk to those guys first, which I think is fair, and then really talk to the team. So I know the timeline doesn't really work, as far as, this meeting. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions, which is fine. I understand that. I'm going to answer them, and, the ones that I can, I'm going to concentrate on the game. What I talk to the team about, so is I really think, a lot of times when, you're playing like the way we're playing, which is obviously not acceptable, nor is it the way we want to play or want to look. We have to, it basically comes down to the things I've said before. When you look at the last two games and, you look at 2 games ago and you're -2 and you're -11 in field position, you got about a 7% chance of winning a game just on that alone. And then when you look at, yesterday and, you're -3 and 16 yards of field position, that you're losing, you got a 3.5% chance, of winning the game. And I think, a lot of the questions the other day were, hey, what do you build upon? What do you do? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? And all that stuff. And, you can talk about that, all the time, and you can always improve to get better in a lot of areas. But, it's crucial. It's, a #1 priority that we're not even giving ourselves a chance right now. And so the next question is going to be, how do you do that? Well, we're going to cut out, a lot of time in individual where we might be working on some specific things, but we're going to work on a ton on taking away the ball and securing the football, And that's pretty much as, what we have to control right now. And a lot of frustration from everyone, coaches, players. But again, they're looking for someone, to give them the answers and show them what to do about it. And, that's my responsibility. So I'm going to have a good plan this week. Going to come up with a good plan for the players. We're going to London. Logistics take a lot, go into a lot of the plan of how we practice and prepare. Whatever decision, comes forward with, who's playing at any position, then obviously that player will be working on Wednesday, taking the starting snaps. I don't believe in splitting reps. The only time I believe in that is when injuries come involved. I think that it's very difficult to ask for the full potential and the accountability, when you're splitting things. It's too tough in this league to do that. As far as injuries, with Donald Payne, I think it's going to be week to week. He's walking around, in an immobilizer right now. As far as Tyler Patman, I think we haven't gotten the results back, the complete testing yet, so we're still waiting on that. And then as far as the other players, James or Herndon or Leonard, just James, Trey, Hayden, all those players will be with us, and we're pushing those players to play.
Will you be making an announcement after you have the meeting with the quarterbacks?
Well, I got to wait for them and wait for the players, so I got to see how I get something out to the players. So I'm probably gonna wait a little while, and probably come out with it sometime, tomorrow. I'm not gonna leave you guys in the dark. I just want to make sure I cover all my bases with everyone.
You said you'll have a plan to help guide the guys this week. When there's frustration like this and turmoil in the locker room, are you the guy to solve that as well, or does that have to come from within?
Well, I think, it's a good question. I think a lot of it has to be, here is the lead on it, and then there has to be a lot of communication with that to get everyone unified, to be pulling in the same direction. That's really the goal. I mean, you can't have little groups or a little indecision of what's the right way or the proper way. You have to get everyone in the same boat. We've done this to ourselves, and the only people that are going to be able to dig us out of it is ourselves. But we all have to have the same vision of how to do it. And my thing to the team was, you know, we can go in all these different directions, but if these two things do not change, those directions aren't going to matter.
Outside this building, there seems to be a sense that maybe things are off the rails. Do you have that sense right now, or do you feel like it's something that you guys can handle as a group?
Disappointed, frustrated, I think that remains to be seen. Is it something that I feel I can have a clear vision to be able to handle? Absolutely. But I'm going to need, it's going to take everyone now. It's not just one person. It starts with me. But I'm going to need everyone to make sure, from, you know, the coaches with each other and coming up with plans and schemes and adjustments and things of that nature, to put the full confidence in it. And I'm going to need the players to go ahead and pull for each other, not just on their side of the ball or their unit, but truly collectively as a group. And I think when you have those things in the right direction and you can correct the first two things I said, you're going to have a chance to win. Not going to be a guarantee that you are, but at least you have a chance. Right now, with the way we're playing, we're not giving ourselves a chance at all.
You said yesterday that the reason why you had benched Blake was because you're just looking for a spark. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that overall, as opposed to isolating on just one drive, that Cody provided that?
Well, what I look for is how everyone else was going to perform. You know, was their performance the same as it was prior to, you know, what their focus was. And like I said before, I think a lot of it, it's unfortunate that, you know, that's the position that you do that for, and that's some of the things that we've evaluated, and we're going to make decisions, you know, in a lot of positions.
Yeah, and follow up to that.
Sure.
How much did you factor in escapability, things like that? Because, you know, Cody was sacked 4 times on 34 dropbacks.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it depends on, you know, how you want to look at it. So I look at kind of everything, Gene, meaning like, you know, well, was it a protection breakdown? Was someone, you know, had the ability to get open? We're in the right play call, where we wanted to go with the ball? Was there an available option, you know, for all of our quarterbacks? That's how I look at every play. So I look at it as, you know, first I look at what we can control as the coaches with the play call, see that, and then, you know, evaluate that first. Then the next thing is every player, we look at, you know, hey, I look at it this way. Is it something that we worked on in practice? Is it something that we knew? Were there any adjustments, you know, that needed to be made? But if it was something that we practiced against, it's something that we felt good about, then I look at the execution of it to make sure at least we're trying. Because we all know in this game, you know, you're going to get beat, and we can live with that at times. You know what I'm saying? Someone gets beat, you know, they may miss something. But at the end of the day, you know, everything that we're doing before that, we should have great confidence about, and then be able to come back and attack it the same way.
When you declare a starter, how much leash does that person get? Is it something where a slow half and you might turn to the second guy, or do you kind of want to pick somebody and give them an opportunity?
I think once you put a person out there, no matter what position, quarterback or anything, you know, you're trusting in that confidence that that player is going to get it done. You know, and then I think it's a matter of performance and, you know, basically what the situation's called for at the time. So I think it's hard to go ahead and say short, long, whatever it may be. You know, the mindset is, hey, this is who's playing, this is what we have going on, and you have the utmost confidence in it. Because if you don't, and you're putting someone in there and you don't feel comfortable with it, you know, that's a problem before it even gets started.
The turnovers, do you consider most of them, all of them, I don't know how you break them down, more carelessness or trying to do too much, especially on Blake's part, you know, impressing a little bit?
Well, I think a lot of it comes, you know, I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but that's both. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that, you know, you're trying to make a play, you know, you're pressing and doing those things where, you know, you've got to go out there and play with a great confidence about yourself, no matter who you are, no matter what position. And you've got to go out there and do it. And the minute you start to press, well, there's some type of exposure depending on how you press it. If you press the situation with, you know, focus, you know, then I think you're in good shape. But if you press it with like, hey, listen, I've got to do this, once it becomes I have to do this, then that's where I found in my experience that you get yourself in trouble, rather than, hey, we have to do this, because it is going to take everybody.
Do you get the sense that that's where Blake is, or was?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to him yet.
Was the second fumble more problematic for you since you were like 3.5 yards short of the first down when Blake was trying to stretch it, as opposed to the first one where it looked like he might have gotten the first down had he hung on to the ball?
And the question is, how do I feel about that?
Yeah, no. Was the second fumble more problematic for you because?
Well, I think anytime you turn the ball over, it's very difficult, no matter what it is, whether it's the quarterback, running back, or anyone of that nature. You know, I think there are times that, you know, you're like, that was a heck of a play. You know, if you saw something with the ball in the air and someone makes an unbelievable, you know, interception, or we do that. But I think for me, you know, the responsibility is we preached on it so much is that we have to do a better job. And again, I have not spoken to him, but, you know, as a coach, you sit there and you appreciate someone trying to make something happen to get that done. You know, but at the same sense, you have to say, hey, listen, is it worth, you know, exposing ourselves, you know what I'm saying, for the turnover?
There were a few times where it wouldn't have mattered if it were Blake or Cody back there. They just had no opportunity to even make a play. The offensive line got beat so quickly. How do you improve that group as a whole?
Yeah, well, we got to, you know, one of the things is you don't want to get yourself in those situations as much where, you know, everyone knows that you're behind and you have to throw. You know, that puts a lot of pressure on you, but you have to be able to step up to that. And then it's just a matter of, hey, this goes ahead with the focus. You know, there's a lot of film on players. There's a lot of time to study people and what they do rush-wise. There's a lot of things our coaches can do for them, you know what I'm saying, to get them prepared to who they're playing against and study those opponents. I mean, you know, there's a study, a focus on every play and every situation that you've got to do a good job of. And at the end of the day, you know, when we're up front, we're just trying to give people an opportunity to make a play. And that's what I've always said. In other words, hey, let's give the quarterback and the receivers an opportunity to see if they can go out there and make a play by our protection, whether it's the tight ends involved with protection and the backs are involved with protection. And then it's a matter of, in the run game, the same thing. Hey, let's give this guy a crease and see if he can take that crease and go and do it. You know, and do that. Other than that, you know, with where we are now, it's a difficult situation. Do we have the best five? I mean, that's what we're evaluating now. Do we have the best five guys in there? You know, is it an effort problem? Is it a technique problem? Is it a communication problem? Are we doing the best job we can to communicate exactly what we want on each play? That's what I say before. Is, you know, it starts with me. Am I communicating what we want to get done to the coordinators in the proper way? Okay, am I involved to a point where it's becoming productive of things I can see? I've always jumped in there and did that, you know, but, you know, now it's a matter of, hey, listen, is it getting communicated and is it getting done? And obviously right now none of us are doing a good enough job, starting with me.
You stood up here before the season and talked about how protecting the football was the most important thing
Absolutely.
For your quarterback. With that in mind, how disappointing is it that Blake's where he's at most turnovers in the league and you guys are second to last in turnovers?
Yeah, but again, you know what I'm saying? The one person is going to get a lot of it, but kind of how, you know, the question was prior. You know, how much of that is on protection? How much is that of not being able to get open? You know, how much of that, you know, there's now, I think when it comes down to that, it's easy to point the finger at one, but there's blame. Not on all of them, not on all of them. But I think you got to look at it, how I have to look at it, or I always looked at it, is what caused that, you know? Did someone tip a ball at the line of scrimmage? Well, you know, we could say, hey, he's got to move around and not use that window. That's fine. But for me, you know, having played that position, it was always my responsibility if someone tipped the ball. You know what I'm saying? That's me putting it out there. Finishing a block at the end. I'm just telling you things that I've done. Finishing a block at the end, and all of a sudden the back's running, he's 30 yards, but my responsibility is chasing him, and he comes from behind and strips him. Well, if my job was to block him, I need to block him to the full play and finish the play. Okay? Now the back should hold on to it, but I have a little bit of the turnover involved with me. You know what I'm saying, and what I'm doing. And that's really how I look at it. It's easy to place the blame, you know, on one. And sometimes it is one. I'm not denying that. But a lot of times when you look at it, you know, what's going on? You know, was it, you know, do we have a place to go with a football? Do we have a room to run? Did someone break through the line of scrimmage? Did someone put, you know, there's a lot of things that go into that, you know, and that's just the way I've always looked at it. Because I do believe at the end of the day, you know, that there's sometimes when it's individual responsibility, easy to stand up and take it. But there's a lot of other things that go on there that contribute to it.
Carlos Hyde just got here. He said he wanted to play yesterday. How quickly can you guys get him up to speed?
Who's that?
Carlos Hyde.
Yes. We'll get him up to speed as quick as we need to get him to play.
You know, what are you expecting out of him?
We're expecting him to be a physical runner like he's been, like he's shown, and to help us fit into the identity that we like.
Have you been a part of any conversations of bringing in a quarterback from the outside?
No, I have not. I've been too busy working on right now what we have to do.
Would it be reasonable?
Excuse me?
Would it be reasonable to consider that?
I'm working with the players I have, so it's hard for me to answer that question.
Doug, was there a players-only meeting earlier today?
Yeah, there was, and that's not out of the norm. You know, it's everyone trying to find what their role is, being together and pulling in the same direction. You know, that's what I expect from this team. You know, we've done that before. You know, there's a lot of frustration, and the faster you can get everyone back on the same page, especially with a day off tomorrow for the players, want to get everyone in the same mindset and the same mind frame. That was my goal today of when we come back and go. And now we as coaches, we've got to get our butts to work and get our guys in the best situation.
You said it's not everybody. Who from your offense is playing well? Can you identify somebody who you feel like is going to go for you?
Right now, no one. No one. I mean, we're not playing well as a team. I don't want to get into individual players or what side of the ball. Right now, as a team, when you talk about takeaways, turnovers, and field position, those are the three things we need to focus on, which are all three things that our team can do a better job of. And that's what we need to focus on first, because once we can get that corrected, you know, then I think you can go to the next thing, you know what I'm saying, of, you know, the individual or things of that nature. So, you know, we just got to get that corrected first, and maybe I'm just so closed-minded on that aspect of it, meaning that if you don't do these things well, the rest of it doesn't matter. That's how I truly feel, and that's how I want to get this team right and get this team back on track.
Doug, what stood out on your defensive performance yesterday, and especially why did the Texans run the ball so well in the first half of the game?
Yeah, I just think that, you know, it's the same thing. I mean, we've got to do a better job. I think that, you know, there's a lot of things that are going on. We got to look first at ourselves as coaches, look at the schematics of what we're doing, look to see how we can get our players in a better position to make those plays, and rely on us and communicate that to them where they feel very confident in it and they can go out there and do it. I mean, that's really what football is.
Can you clarify, when you name a starter tomorrow or whatever you said you may do?
Sure.
Are you speaking of that starter for the long term, like the rest of the season, or just 1 week thing?
I mean, it's a great question. I mean, everyone always asks that. In other words, every time you make a decision for someone, it doesn't matter whether it's the quarterback or anyone else, you know, you look at yourself and you go, okay, hey, you're in there, you're playing, let's go. You know, until it comes to a point where that performance is hurting the team, no matter what position. And once that performance is hurting the team and it's truly put on that player for his performance and not other factors that come involved, you know, then you got to go make a decision and go somewhere else, no matter what position it is, offense, defense, special teams, any of it.
Thank you guys.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. What's that?